Kelsey Plum got traded to the Phoenix Mercury. Let's talk about it. Okay, so at what time was it last night? It was at 2 like it was like 2 a.m., close to 3 a.m. range that the news broke by Shams that Kelsey Paul gets traded to the Phoenix Mercury for Monique Aku McCaney. I might have botched that. Sorry if I did. Trying my best. He'll a 2027 first round pick and 2028 second round pick. Um. Okay. Really interesting. A really interesting trade for the Phoenix Mercury, and a trade that makes a lot of sense for LA. So let's talk about Phoenix first. Phoenix has had this history, even before this new ownership group, about trading first round picks for established players, and they now really prioritize like the future. They always kind of focus on the price and going back to Diane Taurasi days. But ever since this new ownership group, though, trade for Clear Couple, got Alyssa Thomas, got Satu Sabali, who they lost his past free agency. I think I mentioned this video before. They had a very weird free agency. Was like they weren't linked to, or they didn't like try to get like another WNBA established player. They went like the international route, which is fine and all, but it was just super interesting there. So, um, this Monique Aku, it's like that's gonna hurt. That stings a little bit, but you get Kelsey Plum in. Um, so the first round pick. So how I think this is a very important detail people need to realize how the draft lottery works in WNBA, which I don't agree with this thing. I think it's really weird, but it is what it is. So it's based on like a 2 year window. So it's not like let's use the Sparks, for example, here. They'll probably try to lose because they're 140 over the past two, even though they're 10 and 17. Even if they lose out, they have a full 37 percentage 2 year window. They can maybe get as high as 3, which would be pretty good. Like, if that's should be their priorities. Like, they just try to lose because they try to get the best position possible, try to get Juju Watkins or a hand dog or a play like that. And then, in my opinion, they then should try to do something with the products considered strong. But besides that, so going back to Phoenix Hill, they have a 2 year window because they made the finals last year. They were 30 and 36. They have a 514 win percentage. Odds all, I don't see them going past 7, so I think they'll stay at 7% up. 7. Like, because like the next closest is LA, and LA is going to try prioritize losing, and like it's 29-46 in Seattle, and then they got the expansion teams. You got Chicago, and then you got Connecticut. It's like, so I think they'll stay at 7. So trading the 7th pick away, it's something I would not have done. I would have tried to swing to get a free agency, but maybe the feeling is like this should still get traded. There was a lot of, I think not speculation, but a lot of like hope, like oh the Valkyries make so much sense, and it's like, well, how much do they give up and stuff like that. So, um, the Shams had an interesting tweet saying that like both Plum and the Mercury were excited about like the potential landing of coming together and to get an extension in place. So they get this little trial one of like, let's say, I think it's 14 games left for them this season. Yeah, because 30 and yeah, 14 games left because it's a 4-4 game regular season. To make it slight push for the playoffs, even though 6 games back. Like, I don't think that like it's called doing math. Like, even if you win out, you need a lot of things to break your way to do so. And the interesting game is the next game is actually tomorrow, which would be Monday against Chicago. That the lose that is kind of like loser leaves like out of the playoff picture, and the winner might have a slight window, but they're gonna need a lot of help though. Because plus, I think the playoff teams are gonna stay the same no matter what they will. So then the question is, why make this trade? It's a gamble, and I'm giving this. I think people are gonna whip this trade apart, give them an F as like out of the gate because you don't do this for window. But so I'll probably give this a D for the aspect of this is a window. But if she resigns, like this is one of these trades like we could be visited like um 10 months from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and like could be different. So it's probably a D for a gamble and a chance. And everything from a basketball perspective, sense the Plum, Capo, Thomas kind of makes sense. Think about positions and stuff like that. They need to add more supporting cast to help them out. So there's that. You need to continue to add to this group, not just rely on these three stars in the 30s to try to win now and need a little bit more help. So gamble by Phoenix. I kind of understand it if it's like from a window of like, here's the part we want to try to get, bring her in, see if she likes it, hopefully she resigns. But it's like kind of sort of get it, but like they need her to resign because if she doesn't resign, it's not a good look because you get rid of a nice young guard and then odds are the number 7 pick for like 14 games. Like, what are we doing? LA. There's a lot of talk about LA here. So they trade Plum, they get IQ back for 270, 300K this year, 288, 600 next year. So they save over roughly $7,000 for salaries. And now they have a lot of salary cap now. Now it'd be interesting now that they can now look to leverage and trade players now, and they can get contracts back and they get future ounces back. So that's a very positive sign. They can be a lot more active here over the next couple hours. How active would it be? We'll see. They fired a GM, so a little bit kind of like TBD on that. And so we'll see what there is. But for the trade itself, really nice job getting a winter back return. Getting odds of the number 7 pick is a nice package and a pretty good range for that. Like this could be like a Tessa Johnson, a Melissa Wiley like type of range type of player. Probably number 2, your team's woes. So here's the thing, it's not important. They need to lose and lose a ton. Because like I said in the draft odds range, the number 6 right now. They're 140 over the last 2, 437 win percentage. Now, if we look at it like this, Seattle at 387, that's gonna be tough to overcome. They're young, they're not gonna get any better. So I think the goal for them is, can Portland and Toronto, can we pass them in the lottery odd range? Can we get maybe to the top 4? So even with 4, it gives us a 10.5% chance for our own pick, along with an outside chance that Phoenix's pick is number 1 for 3%. So this is really solid thinking for them. I'd be interested what else they do with these moves. I will give this, let's say, a B for the Sparks. I think the Sparks got a good return for a player who it seemed like Science was not going to resign for them. And now it's kind of what happens next. And I'm also very curious what they did also, because if I was them, I meant just a little bit earlier in the video, and I'm looking at this window. I know what's gonna happen with NECA in the off season. Hopefully we resign. Like we'll see. But I'm looking at it. Also depends what happens in the draft lot and who they draft as well. So maybe I might think it would change, but I think I would look at this as a 2 year window of let's be bad the rest of this season. Let's be bad again next year, so we could be in the ways for serious draw and have higher odds and probably a higher percentage in doing so. If not, we get another probably good established player in that draft too. And then that's kind of like a young Cole. Hopefully, you keep Cameron Brink around. At that stage, it should be a free agent after that season. And then, yeah, Brink with the 2 first-round picks this year and who we take 2028 as kind of a young Cole to build around moving forward. So that's what I would do as of right now. Now, all this changes if, like, let's say they get landed on one pick, and it's like, and Juju decides, because she could technically return to college for a 5th year, but if Juju comes, they get a line number one pick and they get Juju walks, maybe my thinking changes. But why not that? What I previously said would be my planning. But like, no, they kind of got. It's just really interesting how we got here. So last bit, how did we get here? Years ago now, Derek Fisher benched Candace Parker in a fourth quarter in a do or die playoff game. Then losing that game. Clearly, there was a friction fracture after that. Candace Parker said so as much. That leaves Candace leave free agency to go to Chicago. Chelsea Gray ends up leaving to Vegas. Neck ends up leaving for the Storm. And like in 2024, you lose your 3 best players, star players on top of that. Players to help you win a championship on top of that too, for nothing. So what do we do? They made a very interesting trade to swap picks with Seattle to get the number 4 pick, to get Cameron Brink 2 with Kia Jackson 4. Next season, they end up getting the number 2 pick in the draft, which they could have Dominika, which she was about prospecting her as Solar Syndrome, but they could have had Dominika, or if they really want to take a swing at Solar Syndrome, so probably with Dominika. So you could have a Malenka, Brink, Jackson, like 5-4-3 build around. Instead, they make this 3-team trade that involves Drew Lloyd going to the Aces. Plum wanted to leave the Aces because she had won a championship. She was an established player at that stage. So they decided to trade her for the number 2 pick, which goes to Seattle. And it's like, okay, let's go with an accelerated timetable. Let's do this thing. Okay, you could have like waited to do these type of moves. I don't like the move because it's like them in Chicago did very similar weird thinking things. Like there was this bigger picture thing you could have done to set yourself up for this off season, which everyone knew a new CBA was coming in place. So like you introduce a place in the best position possible, try to succeed. And the fact that both Chicago and LA did like these weird win now each kind of moves, or more trade like future actions for the present, but not necessarily totally win now moves, is very bizarre thinking. But Plum wanted to be a number 1 option and wanted to give it a try. They missed the playoffs last year, didn't do well. And now, like, start off pretty struggle, did well, Thomas missed games, they traded, like, playing for a little over a year, half plus. So it's like, your plan backfired. And on top of that, too, in the off season, they traded, one young established player who could be a star with Kia Jackson to Chicago for Eric Atkins and signed to a 3-year deal. So they did a lot of moves that made no sense. It's clearly saying like you don't have a plan in place, which is fine, but like what are we trying to do here? So now back to the present. They trade Plum to Phoenix. You get what I said. So, um, nice package. I would give it a B as of right now because they got some nice value out of it. Could change B plus range. Like, cause if you think they're gonna be woes, so Oscar and Queens and the number 7 pick two, and they get a nice on player two, and plus the second round pick that might turn into something. You never know, but overall, I understand from LA a little bit confused by Phoenix, even though like I could kind of see the logic, but something like I don't know, like something like maybe you want to wait on it, but maybe like they think maybe we can't get her if she's not here for us. So I don't know. I mean, it's a lot to think about here, but those are my thoughts on the Kelsey Plum trade.